Could we stand, please, and pray? Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, Psalm chapter 22, verse 13 says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord." And today, we just thank you for the men and women who have gone before us to help create this great nation, the United States of America, the greatest land of opportunity in the world. Heavenly Father, as we gather here today, we just pray for our nation. Our nation is at a crossroads, and we thank you for the men and women who are here to make a difference. We pray for Bill Randall today. We believe that you've called him to make a difference. God, we ask you to bless him, to give him wisdom, strength, and courage, that his campaign would be integrous, with honesty, with clarity. Father, we ask you to bless our food today, to nourish us, to make us strong, to do your will in the kingdom. God bless the United States of America. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. And now I'd like to speak. We're here for two reasons. To send Bill Randall to Congress and to remove from the presidency Barack Obama. He was also known by the title of his favorite film, The Man Who Would Be King. We know that because as a candidate he said, yes we can, but now as president he's saying, yes you will. The president couldn't be here today because he's visiting cemeteries registering voters. I almost didn't make it myself. I had to stop at the bank and take out a second mortgage to pay for gas to get here. Now in my other life I do stand-up comedy. I'm the oldest new young comic in North Carolina, but I don't do jokes about the problems of being old. You know, I'd like to, I just can't remember them. But in honor of the current administration, I do redistribution comedy. That's where I sit home, don't do a lick of work, and every month the government sends me jokes. If there's a motto for the Obama presidency, it's, if it ain't broke, Obama will fix it until it is. Now in his 3 years as president, Obama has killed a Somali pirate, Anwar al-Awlaki, bin Laden, and the economy. We knew the economy was heading downhill years ago, and much of American businesses just stopped growing and cut their workforce, especially in Detroit. You know, so many jobs were cut that Detroit was delivering cars with little notes attached that said some assembly required. But now that the unions own a nice chunk of General Motors, the notes that now come say some assembly required unless you're a UAW worker or else. We have an economy where foreclosure rate is high, bankruptcy rate is high, unemployment is high, and yet Obama tries to tell us that the economy is making a comeback. Well, from that I can only conclude that Obama is high. So I had a dream the other night. You know, in the dream, the economy was actually growing and fast. Millions of people were going to their jobs every day. There was real hope in the air. And then I looked out the window and I was in India. See, the president's idea of balancing the budget is to make the national debt as big as the economy. His balanced budget will be half smoke and half mirrors. Now I'm told that the president is writing another book. It's about America, and it begins with chapter 11. And now we have the first anniversary of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. Hollywood liberals have been wanting to make a movie out of this, you know, but then they realize that one has already been made, and it's called The Titanic. Now, if Obamacare goes into full effect, look for lots and lots of changes as the country tries to fit in 20 to 30 million new patients. Under Obamacare, a pizza delivery will get to your house faster than an ambulance. And when the ambulance does come, It'll probably have a meter. Obama patriots will be saying inspiring things like, "Give me liberty," or "Give me death panels." Breast exams will probably be at Hooters. They'll be buying surgical tools at Sears. Stomach stapling will be done at Office Max. And the biggest benefit will be a free funeral for any major operation. Now, at least Michelle Obama is doing something to positive in fighting childhood obesity with her program, No Child Left with a Big Behind. Now, we can't have another 4 years of Obama, because if he does have if he is a two-term president, you know that once he's out of office, there's going to be a big push to name everything after Obama. You know, every building, streets, roads, anything you can think of, they'll want to change to Obama. So I'm thinking in the future that it'd be kind of difficult to get directions, you know, if that's the case. So I can see somebody in Jersey going up to a gas station guy and saying, "Can you tell me how to get to Yankee Stadium?" The guy says, "What?" "Oh, you mean the Barack Ball Yards." Yeah, when did they change the name? "Oh, you know, last Obama Day, December 25th. So you okay, take Barack Boulevard here, go past Obama Lane, Obama Drive, Obama Circle, Obama Road, Obama Street, until you come to the Hussein Highway. There's a Martin Luther Burger King on the corner, you can't miss it. So drive about 15 Obameters to the I am not a Muslim exit. That'll take you to the Obama formerly known as Snoop Dogg Boulevard. So take that left to Messiah Street. You turn left there, even though it's a one-way street the other way. You always have to turn left on an Obama street. So try to drive like 1 Obameter without getting a heart attack until you see the tomb of the unknown Obama. So you go left, and that'll put you on the OSIABF Thruway, which is the Obama says it's all Bush's fault Thruway. Take it to the Michelle Roundabout. You're now in the Hispanic part of town. You'll be passing Via Gracias por Mucho Dinero Obama Boulevard, Calle Obama de Dios, and then keep going until you come to a Taco Barraco drive-in. You go left until you reach Obama Economy Road. Don't get on it, it ends in a cliff. So you have to keep going until you come to a fork in the road. Now, the left fork is the Obama tax and toll road. The other fork is the other Obama tax and toll road. So you go either way, you're forked. A little more. And if you take the left fork, and that'll take you to the Obama-Washington Bridge, and then that'll take you to the ball yards. You know, they have the best Barack dogs in Obama ball. So by the way, who are they playing? Who are the Yankees playing? The Colorado Barackies. Anyway, I guess it's a little time to get serious now. We can't have 4 more years of Obama. And if we want to eliminate waste in Washington, for instance, we just got to get rid of everybody and start all over. And one of the ways to start all over is to elect Bill Randall to Congress. That's the part. That's the part that we can do. If we have 4 more years of Obama, you'll have to put the Constitution on milk cartons in order to find it. It's going to be, it'll be terrible. So now, time for our guest speaker. Herman Cain is an American author, business executive, radio host, syndicated columnist, and Tea Party activist from the state of Georgia. He was a candidate for the 2012 U.S. GOP presidential nomination. Mr. Cain graduated from Morehouse College in 1967 with a BS in math and received a Master of Science in Computer Science at Purdue in 1971 while working full-time for the United States Department of the Navy. In 1977, he joined Pillsbury, where he later became vice president. During the 80s, his success as a business executive at Burger King led Pillsbury to appoint him as chairman and CEO of Godfather Pizza. Mr. Cain served as chairman of the Federal Reserve, Kansas City, from 1989 to 1991. During the presidency of Bill Clinton, Mr. Cain publicly opposed the Clinton health care plan of 1993, about which he questioned the president at a town hall meeting. In May 2011, Herman Cain announced his presidential candidacy. His proposed 999 tax plan, along with his debate performances, made him the GOP frontrunner in the fall of 2011, during which he led President Obama in the polls. For personal reasons, Mr. Cain suspended his campaign on December 3rd of that year. And the Pew Research Center reported that of all Republican candidates, Herman Cain was the most covered candidate in 2011. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I present to you former 2012 Republican presidential candidate, Tea Party favorite, and proud patriot, Mr. Herman Cain.
Thank you very, very, very much. I knew I had a lot of friends in North Carolina, and a lot of them showed up here today, and I'm absolutely thrilled. Now, having been in the restaurant business for a large part of my career, I would be remiss if we didn't thank Mason Newcomb, Cindy Newcomb, and Abby Clark for preparing this wonderful meal we have had today. Where are you? Thank you. I want to answer two questions before I make some general remarks. One of the first questions that people often ask or they wonder about: why did I get out of the presidential race? It disappointed a lot of people, including me and my family. Broke some hearts, including me and my family. But the main reason that I got out of the race had nothing to do with not being a fighter. It had everything to do with putting family first. Because after leading in the polls for 4 straight weeks in the fall, as John mentioned, someone decided that I was too big of a threat. And the only way that they could get me out of the race was to attack my character with vicious, false accusations. If they had made the accusations and left it alone, that's one thing. But we made an assessment based upon the pattern that it was not going to stop. And when you call home every night and talk to your wife and you can hear tears in her voice, I decided family first. And so whereas I made the decision not to continue to pursue the position, I am still on a mission, and that is to help defeat Barack Obama. The second question that I want to answer: why am I supporting Bill? That was the question that I was asked by the media when I first got here. The answer is real simple. We share the same values, and we are on the same mission. And the mission to defeat Barack Obama is also in addition to the mission of getting America back on track, because we're headed off of a cliff. That's why I'm supporting Bill. Now, John may be a little optimistic, thinking we can throw them all out at once. So let's just throw them out one at a time, starting with electing this man over here, your next congressman. The founding fathers, they got it right. They got it right with the Declaration of Independence when they said we hold these truths to be self-evident. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator, not the government's, not Obama's, their Creator, with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life from conception, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness in America, the United States of America, is in danger. And the reason the pursuit of happiness in America is in danger is because we have become a nation of crises. And it didn't all happen under Bush. A lot of it happened in just the last 3 years. We have an economic crisis. The GDP last year grew about 1.7%, which is anemic. But yet this administration wants us to believe we're in a recovery. We have an energy crisis because we are too dependent upon foreign oil when we have enough natural resources right here in the United States, but we have not had the will or the leadership to develop the resources right here in the United States to become energy independent. All you have to do is look at the current price of gasoline. Many of you all have heard about my 999 plan. It's still alive. Have you heard about Obama's 999 plan? He wants gasoline to become $9.99 a gallon by doing nothing. By doing nothing. We also have an illegal immigration crisis in this country. A lot of people have talked about doing something about it, but they really haven't done anything about it. It's too sensitive of a subject. Being sensitive and politically correct is what got us into this mess. Somebody's going to have to make some decisions to do some things and fix some things rather than continuing to kick the can down the road and hope that the problem is going to solve itself someday. No, it is not. We have a moral crisis. A moral crisis. People are trying to take God out of our culture. Why does all of our currency say, "In God we trust"? But yet people want to take it out of our culture? They want us to be intimidated into being able to express our religious beliefs. And the biggest crisis we have of all is a severe deficiency of leadership crisis. Severe deficiency of leadership crisis. We need 535 leaders in the United States Congress, starting with Bill. 535 leaders. He served his country in the military, where you not only learn leadership, but you have to lead in order to have that kind of success. One of the reasons that I made the decision to run for president in the first place was because I wanted to give you, the voters, another option. And when I first started that journey, I was told by the political experts that I didn't have a chance. I said, well, I'm going to be the unconventional candidate. They're not going to elect a businessman. They're not going to want to support a businessman. I said, well, let's find out. And when they said that I didn't have a chance, they forgot to factor in one thing: the people's ideas. The people decided it's okay to have an unconventional candidate. It's okay to support a problem solver. It's okay to support someone who wants to fix stuff rather than just talk about stuff. It's okay to support someone who wants to fix the tax code the right way. Throw it out and start all over with 999. And I'm proud to say that I endorse Bill for this position because he has also become one of the formal adopters of the 999 plan as part of his platform. Thank you, Bill. We now have over 30 people running for Congress that have formally adopted 999 because the American people like the 999 plan. And so that's why I tell people one of the reasons that I'm still speaking out is to continue to promote it. And the idea is to get people to adopt 999 before they get elected, rather than after they get elected, and then you get the same old excuses about why we can't fix stuff. I talked to a congressman from Wisconsin just last week when I was traveling at an event that he was sponsoring. And I heard in his voice that usual reluctance from people already in office. Well, 999 might be a good idea, but what's to prevent it from becoming 12-12-12? That's code for I want to play it safe and come up with a reason not to support it. The answer is real simple. 999 provides 3 ways for taxes and revenue to be collected. And in addition, it boosts the economy. And I asked him, how many ways in the current tax code can we be taxed to death? And I said, we don't have that much time in the day for you to name all of them, because the current code is filled with sneak taxes that we never see. The visibility of 999 will allow the people of this country to hold elected officials' feet to the fire. That's why it won't become 12-12-12 or something else. And so I happen to believe that there's a major shift going on in this country. And that shift is power out of Washington, D.C. and back to the people. That's why the Tea Party movement has been so successful. That's why the citizens movement has been so successful. Because people want their power back. They're tired of being told what to do, what to buy, how to live, where to build your businesses, where to go, where not to go. The last time I checked, this is the United States of America, not the United States of Europe, and it's not going to happen on our watch. Someone asked me recently, why are you still out here talking? Well, because I like to talk. I even had a reporter ask me, why do people still listen to you? I have something to say that they like. They have a problem with that. The reason I'm still out here speaking and being a voice is because the mission has not changed. The mission has not changed. And I also happen to believe firmly that in order for us to win in November, to maintain control of the United States House, to win control of the United States Senate, and to win back the White House, we're going to have to keep all of our potential constituencies inspired, our conservative Republican base. Because unfortunately, we have a severe enthusiasm gap going on right now. That's not healthy. In Illinois, earlier this week, the Republican turnout was only 24%. Folks, if we do not work harder, work smarter, get our friends and families to get out and vote, we lose. People stayed home on John McCain. I've already made the pledge that whoever gets the nomination, I am going to support them from the Republican Party. Why? Because the mission here is for us to win. And that means that we cannot continue to have this enthusiasm gap amongst the base. Secondly, people of faith. People of faith. I'm a member of a very large black Baptist church in Atlanta, Georgia. We have over 13,000 members. They don't all show up on Sunday, Pastor. But they're on the rolls, you know what I mean. As long as they send the tithes, it's okay. People have to travel. But people of faith, there are nearly 90 million regular church attendees, evangelicals, whatever term you want to say, in this country. That's the good news. Only 50% of them are registered voters. And only 50% of those vote. We got to get people out of the pews. You don't have to tell them who to vote for. That's against the IRS code. But with 999, it won't be a problem. It won't be a problem. And so people of faith, and I was speaking with Pastor and his wife that, because she asked a very pertinent question, what can pastors do? Educate people. Give them facts. Give them information. Because it was Thomas Jefferson who said, when people have the right information, they will make the right decision. So we got to educate each other and get them out of the pews. The base, people of faith, we increased those numbers a couple of million people. Guess what, folks? We win. Third group, young people, the youth vote. I was thrilled last night at the University of Georgia when an event sponsored by the Georgia Young Republicans, UGA College Republicans, they packed out an auditorium with standing room only to come out and hear me speak about America and what we need to do to save it. I was thrilled. When we leave here, we go to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, the belly of the beast. As my grandfather used to say, I ain't scared. To speak to the college Republicans there. We have to take our message and our values to them. They're not going to watch the same Sunday morning programs or the same political programs that we watch. And I'm happy that they are being so responsive. I did another event at the College of Charleston with Stephen Colbert a couple of months ago. Now, most of you all probably didn't know about that because that may not be one of your favorite nighttime shows. But it is their favorite nighttime show. And at the College of Charleston, 5,000 students came out for that rally. Last night we had standing room only at that speech and that rally on the campus of the University of Georgia. Young people understand two things. Number one, the United States of America is broken. Washington is broken. And number two, they understand that America is broke. $15 trillion in national debt. Over $60 trillion in unfunded liabilities. For the last 4 years, we've had an annual national deficit of at least $1 trillion, and it's growing. And we have a president and an administration that has made the statement through one of his people, they don't care about a budget. That is a very dangerous attitude for a nation to have. which is why we are headed off of this financial cliff. So we got to appeal to the young people. I have made that part of my personal mission. They understand that Washington is broken and that we are broke. Then there's another group, moderates and independents. Do you know what appeals to the independents? Solutions. They're not interested in the political rhetoric. They're not interested in the label. They're interested in solutions. And I happen to believe that that's one of the reasons that my campaign did so well. I offered bold solutions. That's how we've got to appeal to them. And then there's another group, folks, that with the right message, we'll be able to appeal to, and we win. Disgruntled Democrats. Being on the radio on a regular basis, I get callers, and since I can't see them, they'll admit that they have voters' remorse. And there's a lot of it out there. In fact, Pat Goodell, one of the posters that you might see on TV from time to time, who is a friend and an associate, he believes, based upon some of the polling that they've done, that there's 12 million disgruntled Democrats out there who do not want to vote for President Barack Obama. But we've got to give them a reason to vote for us. That's part of our job. Give them a reason, a good reason. One of the questions that we discussed earlier, where are we going with this nomination process? I don't know. It's not over yet. As Yogi Berra says, it ain't over till it's over. And when I was being interviewed earlier, you've heard the term, we could have a brokered convention, which means that we could get to the convention in Tampa in August, and no one will have locked up the number of delegates you need in order to be the presumptive nominee, 1,144. It is possible, based upon the proportional allotment of delegates, that even Romney may not. I'm not saying that he won't, but he'd have to have a sprint to the finish in big states like Texas and California in order to put it away. And I've been to both of those states many times, and it's not a certainty that he's going to be able to put it away. And so if you have a brokered convention, that means that on the first ballot, they would vote based upon legally binding commitments. And if no one got the 1,144 delegate votes on the first ballot, they go to a second ballot. If they go to a second ballot, guess what? Every adult in America is eligible to be the nominee. It starts all over. You could have someone you never heard of emerge as the nominee. Or you could have somebody who may have dropped out of the race who could be the nominee. I'm just saying, I'm not making any promises. Bill, I'm just explaining the process. Remember I talked about we got to educate and inform people? That's what I'm just explaining the process, folks. Such that you do three things. This is what I ask you to do. Stay informed. If you don't know the process, you may not be a part of that process. Some of you may be delegates at the convention. So you need to know the process. Stay informed. Stay informed not only of the process that we're in the middle of right now, because you see, the mainstream media, they have their objective. The mainstream media's objective is for Romney to be the nominee. I have the greatest amount of respect in the world for Mitt Romney. Don't misunderstand me. But it is not up to the mainstream, lamestream, lapdog media to pick our nominee. It is up to the people to pick our nominee. And so they are trying to orchestrate a preconceived conclusion. Secondly, by staying informed, you'll know the facts. You'll be able to counter some of the disingenuous and dishonest rhetoric that you get from some people. So stay informed. Secondly, stay involved. If you stay home, we lose. If you work a little harder and work a little smarter, we win. And thirdly, stay inspired. Stay inspired. You see, the founding fathers believed that we could create the greatest nation in the world, and we did. They didn't have an overwhelming majority of people raising their hands that said, give me a gun, we're going to go fight. They had a passionate few who believed in this great nation, who led the fight, who led the revolution for the United States of America to be born and later thrive. It hasn't always been smooth sailing for the United States of America, but one of the greatest things about this nation is that its people have risen up and stepped forward in its most urgent time of need. And right now, we need another revolution, not with bombs and bullets, but with brains and ballots at the ballot box. That's the revolution that we need. I have to say at this point, folks, I'm not mad at y'all. I just get very passionate, okay? My wife sometimes said, you sound like you're angry when you're giving speeches. No, I'm just passionate because I firmly believe in this country. And I believe that we can take our power back. Let me tell you what inspires me. Several things. The support that I get from people like you all over this country, it's inspiring. I'm also inspired by the fact that in 2006, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I had cancer in my colon and my liver. But I'm inspired that God said, not yet. God said, not yet. And if God says not yet, yeah, did y'all know that I was a preacher too? Don't get me going here now. But if God says not yet, that wasn't a permission slip to go play golf the rest of my life. That was his way of saying, I got some more work for you to do. So I'm inspired by what happened 6 years ago. I've now been totally cancer-free for 6 years, and I only had a 30% chance of survival. So that inspires me. I'm the oldest person on my staff, and when I had my campaign, I was the old man. I'm 66 years old, and I'm the old man. Got all these young whippersnappers like William and Jay and all of them, all younger than me, and they complain at night because they have a hard time keeping up with the old man. They don't have the stamina that us old dudes have. But I'm inspired by the fact that I know that God has a plan. And it may not always be in a straight line. Sometimes God's plan is a zigzag. You just got to be patient, as it says in Isaiah. And one of the other things that inspires me is the fact that I have 4 grandkids. The 4th one was born on New Year's Day of this year. New Year's Day, blessed event. Be traveling around and people say, well, what did you do on New Year's Day? I spent all day at the hospital. You did? What's wrong? No, we were waiting on the baby to be born. And when that little baby came into the world on January 1st, 2012, based upon the current national debt, he already owed $50,000 and he hadn't even cried yet. There's a problem with that. And so my message there is quite simply, folks, it's not about us. We are going to be just fine. It's about the grandkids and the kids. not about us. That's what keeps us going. And the words to a song from the movie Pokemon sums up the challenge to each of us. The first time I recited these words, it was at a CPAC convention, and one of the media reporters couldn't wait to cite the fact that I referenced the wrong source of the song. You know, when I was running, I learned something about the media. They fly-spect everything you say, how you say it. As an example, before I close, I remember, and you all may have seen this in one of the debates, I remember in one of my speeches before I was a candidate for president, I was asked, well, Mr. Cain, what would you do about, securing the border? I said, well, they claim that you can't build a fence. I said, put me in charge. I'll build you a fence. It'll be 20 feet high. It'll have electrified barbed wire on the top. And on the U.S. side of the fence, it's going to have a moat with alligators in it. And if they can get over that fence and outswim those alligators, I'll give them a job. You want to get into the United States that bad? I'll give you a job once you get here. Because the last time I checked, when have you heard a report about somebody trying to sneak out of America? They're trying to sneak into America because we are still an exceptional nation, but we have to keep it that way. And so in one of the debates, it might have been Chris Wallace. Mr. Cain, you made the statement about this moat with the alligators. I said, America needs to lighten up. They need to learn how to take a joke. But when they fly-spec everything you say and do, they want to turn that into a big story if they don't happen to agree with your ideology. So from the Pokemon movie, they issue a challenge to all of us, which I issue to you. Life can be a challenge. Life can seem impossible. It's never easy when there's so much on the line. But you can make a difference. There's a mission just for you. Just look inside and you will find just what you can do. Life is a challenge, folks. And there's a mission that we all can do. Let's not focus on what we can't do. Let's focus on what we can do in order to save the greatest nation on the planet. God bless you, and thank you very much.
What brings you to North Carolina today, sir?
Well, I'm in North Carolina to support Bill Randall, who is running for the United States Congress here in North Carolina. The reason I'm supporting and endorsing him is several reasons. First of all, we share the same values and we share the same vision for America. And that vision for America is to get America back on track, because we both feel that it is off track, along with a lot of other Americans. I happen to believe that Bill Cullum has those skills that are needed to represent the people in his district. We need new blood in Washington, D.C., because Washington is broken and the United States is broke. Someone needs to get serious about fixing the problem rather than just kicking the can down the road.
You mentioned an enthusiasm gap. Is that a problem with the field of candidates, the current field of candidates?
I think it's a problem with the field of candidates and the solutions that they're putting on the table. I don't think the enthusiasm gap is because of the candidates' personalities. I have advised them, even in absentia, be more specific and be bolder in your solutions. Secondly, I think a lot of the enthusiasm gap is being generated by a lot of the negative campaigning that has come out of this campaign so far.
Do you think the long primary is good or bad for the party, good or bad for the country?
I think there are pros and cons each way. If it ends early, that means that the nominee will be a single target for the Obama administration for a longer period of time. If it happens to go closer to the convention or go to the end of June, then that's less time for them to single out and try to destroy our candidate. So there are pros and cons on each side. There is no one right answer. Other than whoever the nominee is, the conservative Republican base is going to have to unite around that candidate.
Had you not dropped out of the election, where would you be now?
I probably would have wrapped up the nomination. And I'm not being facetious. I mean, when I was leading in all of the national polls for 4 straight weeks, first of all, my positive intensity rating was the highest of all of the candidates by a long shot. People connected with my positive message. They connected with my bold solutions. They connected with my personality. They connected with some of the things that I was talking about. And they connected with my business problem-solving background. So whether or not, given the proportionality and the changes with the various states, whether I would have wrapped up the nomination, I do believe that I would have been in the thick of things had I not dropped out.
My next question, both of you can weigh in on this. The
Great.
North Carolina GOP-led legislature redrew the district maps in the state for the congressional boundaries. And Reverend William Barber, the state chapter president of the NAACP, has said that that disenfranchises minority voters. Your thoughts?
I think I can take that.
Yep.
Actually, that redistricting by the Republican-led House and Senate has withstood the test in the courts. It has met every criteria of maintaining the integrity. Some may squabble about the geographic boundaries and county lines and whatever. There are arguments that can be made for the way it was drawn by different people. But with anything, there are very few things, as a matter of fact, when you have a process like that, that everybody is going to be locked in with the final analysis. But in the end, their lines were fair. It withstood all of the legal challenges, and it's done it twice. So I believe that it's not a problem. I think that it's political theater for Reverend Barber to try and make it an issue.
A stance on education for a moment. The state budget had trimmed education funding to a certain extent. Governor Perdue, who's not running for re-election, is again trying to rally as many people as she can, including the Republicans in the legislature, in the House and Senate, to reinstate the 3/4 of a penny sales tax to fund education. And they're saying that they're not even going to let that get off the ground. In terms of education on a whole across the country, North Carolina is among 12 states, just released in a recent report, where the graduation rate has improved from 72% to 75.5% in the last 10 years. Would a drop in funding across the state in the budget be detrimental to those numbers?
Well, I don't think you can just look at it in dollars and cents strictly from the amount of money you're dealing with. You have to look at how the utilization of the funds has been used before, misappropriated, and how the Republican majority is using it now. They wound up finding a way to not only cut the budget, especially with that impacting education, but they did it in a way that did not cut teachers' jobs or salaries. But they found a tremendous amount of waste in the administrative costs. By lowering that, they were able to stick to the budget. With respect to the out years in the future that you're addressing, I think that they've done a stellar job, and they're looking at it in a way that is very responsible. I think they're going to do it in a way that is not going to hurt the education system, and it is going to hold the line on the budget and exercise fiscal responsibility. I believe that they're on the right track, and I don't see where, even with projected trimming of the budget, that they're going to be irresponsible in doing that.
Let me address it nationally. Nationally, what you will find is that it's not the amount of money that's spent, it's how it is spent. The fact that your graduation rate has gone up, even with the budget challenges that you've had here in North Carolina, that is a 4-star performance for the state of North Carolina. Take Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. currently has the highest average per pupil cost in the country, twice the national average, and they have one of the worst graduation rates. And there are examples like that all over the country. So it's not about how much you spend on education, it's how effectively you use your educational dollars. And it sounds as if here in North Carolina, they're doing a good job.
The date of the North Carolina presidential primary and for the other elections in the state, May 8th, a lot of people looked at that at the beginning as saying it was too far out and it wasn't going to be much of a factor in deciding who the Republican nominee for president would be. Recently, we've been seeing Mitt Romney start to run away with the number of delegates, but it's still a close enough race. Will May 8th matter for the Republican presidential nomination?
May 8th, North Carolina primary will matter in a big way for the following reasons. Number one, since many of the states changed their primary date, some of them lost delegates. Secondly, many states voted to go to proportional allocation or some other scheme on how the delegates are awarded. So as an example, in the state of Georgia where I live, even though Speaker Newt Gingrich won by a huge 25-point margin, he didn't get all the delegates. And so because of the way the delegates are allocated, that means that North Carolina will be a big player in this ultimate process.
Off the topic for a moment, and on a personal level, you said you're from Georgia, Mr. Randall here from North Carolina. How do you know each other?
I'm actually originally from Louisiana, but I spent 27 years in the United States Navy. They said that a lot of people had the good fortune to be born in North Carolina, and my wife and I had the good sense to move here.
And we met earlier, even before I ever became a candidate. He has been active in organizations such as Tea Party events and things of that nature long before I ever ran for the presidency. And so following his career, looking at his background, and when he contacted us and said he would like to adopt the 999 plan along with 30 other people running for office around the country, we do have a process that we go through before we automatically say, yes, you can adopt the plan. Well, he passed it with flying colors. And it gets back to we share the same values and we have the same mission. So that's how we got together.
Pundits of your 999 plan say that it would raise taxes on the low and middle income and actually drop taxes on people making $1 million or more.
Pundits who criticize the 999 plan in that manner, they are lying. And I'm not going to be politically correct about it. That is a false argument, because the first time that came out, the organization that reported it changed the assumptions. Now, I was a mathematics major in school, and one of the things that I learned was if you want to get a different result, change the assumption. That's exactly what they did to try to shoot it down. They did the same thing with the fair tax when George Bush was president. They didn't do a fair analysis of the fair tax. I support the fair tax. They changed the assumptions to get the result so they could say that it won't work, that it's going to raise taxes. Within the 999 plan, we have what we call a poverty exemption. So if you're at the poverty level, guess what? You pay no tax. If you're above the poverty level, well, you get the benefit of the poverty exemption, but the more you make, the more money you make. Think about this. Warren Buffett loves to talk about the fact that his secretary pays more taxes than he does. Not on the 999. Think about him paying 9% on his billions. So that is not true that it's going to be a windfall break for the very rich and that it's going to raise taxes on low and middle income. It's simply a false accusation.
Last week, President Obama's North Carolina campaign released a statement where the president said that Amendment 1 in North Carolina on the ballot for May 8th that would define marriage as between a man and a woman, the president called that divisive and discriminatory. The majority of the state Republicans are for Amendment 1. Democrats, you could say they're mixed, but your thoughts on Amendment 1? I believe you're in support
May I,
of
sir?
Amendment 1.
Yes.
The website is Vote for Marriage NC. If anybody goes there, they'll see what the real facts are. They're trying to distort the issue, and they try to give selective polls. Overwhelmingly, individuals that have been polled in North Carolina are fully supportive with respect to more in favor of it than fewer in favor of it. They want to preserve the integrity of traditional marriage between one man and one woman. This is an issue that the people have spoken. They wanted it on the ballot, and if you really look at it, if the people in North Carolina did not want it, their elected officials would not have been able to pass an amendment or pass the bill in the General Assembly to get it on the ballot without getting Democrats to go along and vote with it as well. This is solid, and the people are behind it.
We have one last question from Mr. Cain.
The Democratic.
Before you do, though, I think in fairness, Mr. Cain would probably want to weigh in on the marriage issue as well.
Nationally, people feel exactly how most of the people in North Carolina. You have a minority of the people who are trying to drag the rest of the country to their point of view on this social issue. Secondly, one of the reasons that President Obama made the statement that he made is because he instructed the Justice Department not to enforce the Defense of Marriage Act. That's a violation of the Constitution. The president takes an oath that says he is supposed to enforce the laws of the United States of America, but then to instruct the Justice Department not to enforce the 1996 Defense of Marriage Act, which Bill Clinton signed, is unconscionable. So I happen to think and agree with Bill that people are trying to use it in a disingenuous way by putting out false information about what the people want. Well, thank you all very much. Enjoying being in North Carolina.
Thank you.